Hello. Shall we do another chapter of The Secret Garden by Francis Hodgson Burnett? Do you feel like it? I feel like it. Tonight, let's read chapter 20. I shall live forever and ever and ever. Here we go. Get yourself comfy, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and meet me back here in half a second. But they were obliged to wait more than a week because first there came some very windy days and then Colin was threatened with a cold, which two things happening one after the other would no doubt have thrown him into a rage. But there was so much careful and mysterious planning to do, and almost every day Dickon came in, if only for a few minutes, to talk about what was happening on the moor and in the lanes and hedges and on the borders of streams. The things he had to tell about otters and badgers and water rats' houses, not to mention birds' nests and field mice in their burrows. They were enough to make you almost tremble with excitement when you heard all the intimate details from an animal charmer and realised with what thrilling eagerness and anxiety the whole busy underworld was working. "They're same as us," said Dickon, "only they have to build their homes every year, and it keeps them so busy. They face scuffle to get 'em all done." The most absorbing thing, however, was the preparations to be made before Colin could be transported with sufficient secrecy to the garden. No one must see the chair carriage and Dickon and Mary after they turned a certain corner of the shrubbery and entered upon the walk outside the ivied walls. As each day passed, Colin had become more and more fixed in his feeling that the mystery surrounding the garden was one of its greatest charms. Nothing must spoil that. No one must ever suspect that they had a secret. People must think that he was simply going out with Mary and Dickon because he liked them and did not object to their looking at him. They had long and quite delightful talks about their route. They would go up this path and down that path and cross the other and go round the flower fountain beds as if they were looking at the bedding out plants. The head gardener, Mr. Roach, had already had arranged. That would seem such a rational thing to do that no one would think it at all mysterious. They would turn into the shrubbery walks and lose themselves until they came to the long walls. It was almost as seriously and elaborately thought out as the plans of march made by great generals in time of war. Rumours of the new and curious things which were occurring in the invalids' apartments had, of course, filtered through the servants' hall into the stable yards and out among the gardeners, but, notwithstanding this, Mr. Roach was startled one day when he received orders from Master Colin's room to the effect that he must report himself in the apartment no outsider had ever seen, as the invalid himself desired to speak to him. Well, he said to himself as he hurriedly changed his coat. "What's to do now? His Royal Highness that wasn't to be looked at calling up a man he's never set eyes on." Mr. Roach was not without curiosity. He had never caught even a glimpse of the boy and had heard a dozen exaggerated stories about his uncanny looks and ways and his insane tempers. The thing he had heard oftenest was that he might die at any moment, and there had been numerous fanciful descriptions of a humped back and helpless limbs, given by people who had never seen him. "Oh, things are changing in this house, Mr. Roach," said Mrs. Medlock as she led him up the back staircase to the corridor onto which opened the hitherto mysterious chamber. "Oh, let's hope they're changing for better, Mrs. Medlock," he answered. "They couldn't well change for worst," she continued, "and, strange as all is, there's them as finds their duties made a lot easier to stand up under. Don't you be surprised, Mr. Roach, if you find yourself in the middle of a menagerie and Martha Sowerby's Dickon more at home than you or me could ever be." There really was a sort of magic about Dickon, as Mary always privately believed. When Mr. Roach heard his name, he smiled quite leniently. "Oh, He'd be home at Buckingham Palace or at the bottom of a coal mine. Yes, not impudence either. He's just fine, is that lad." It was perhaps well he had been prepared, or he might have been startled. When the bedroom door was opened, a large crow, which seemed quite at home, perched on the high back of a carven chair, announced the entrance of a visitor by saying "caw caw" quite loudly. In spite of Mrs. Medlock's warning, Mr. Roach only just escaped being sufficiently undignified to jump backwards. The young Rajah was neither in bed nor on his sofa. He was sitting in an armchair, and a young lamb was standing by him, shaking its tail and feeding lamb fashion as Dickon knelt giving it milk from its bottle. A squirrel was perched on Dickon's bent back, attentively nibbling a nut. The little girl from India was sitting on a big footstool, looking on. "Here is Mr. Roach, Master Colin," said Mrs. Medlock. The young Rajah turned and looked his servitor over. At least that was what the head gardener felt happened. "Oh, you are Mr. Roach, are you?" he said. "I sent for you to give you some very important orders."
"Very good, sir,"
answered Roach, wondering if he was to receive instructions to fell all the oaks in the park or to transform the orchards into water gardens. "I am going out in my chair this afternoon," said Colin. "If the fresh air agrees with me, I may go out every single day. When I go, none of your gardeners are to be anywhere near the long walk by the garden walls. No one is to be there. I shall go out about 2 o'clock, and everyone must keep away until I send word that they may go back to their work."
"Very good, sir,"
replied Mr. Roach, much relieved to hear that the oaks might remain and the orchards were safe. "Mary," said Colin, turning toward her, "what is that thing you say in India when you have finished talking and want people to go?" "You say you may have my permission to go," answered Mary. The Rajah waved his hand. "You have my permission to go, Roach," he said, "but remember, this is very important."
"Caw, caw,"
remarked the crow hoarsely, but not impolitely.
"Very good, sir. Thank you, sir,"
said Mr. Roach, and Mrs. Medlock took him out of the room. Outside in the corridor, being a rather good-natured man, he smiled until he almost laughed.
"My word, he's got a fine lordly way with him, hasn't he? You'd think he has the whole royal family rolled into one, prince consort and everything."
"Yeah," said Mrs. Medlock. "We've had to let him trample all over every one of us since he had feet, and he thinks that's what folk were born for."
"Well, perhaps he'll grow out of it, if he lives," suggested Mr. Roach.
"Well, there's one thing pretty sure," said Mrs. Medlock. "If he does live, and that other child stays here, I'll warrant she teaches him that the All Orange does not belong to him, as Susan Sowerby says. He'll be likely to find out the size of his own quarter." Inside the room, Colin was leaning back on his cushions. "It's all safe now," he said, "and this afternoon I shall see it. This afternoon I shall be in it." Dickon went back to the garden with his creatures, and Mary stayed with Colin. She did not think he looked tired, but he was very quiet before their lunch came, and he was quiet whilst they were eating it. She wondered why, and asked him, "What big eyes you've got, Colin. When you are thinking, they get as big as saucers. What are you thinking about right now?" "I can't help thinking about what it's going to look like," he answered. "The garden," said Mary. "The springtime. I was thinking that I've really never seen springtime before. I scarcely ever went out, and when I did, I never looked at it. I didn't even think about it." "I never saw it in India because there wasn't any," said Mary. Shut in and morbid as his life had been, Colin had more imagination than she had, and at least he had spent a good deal of time looking at wonderful books and pictures. "That morning, when you ran in and said, 'It's come, you made me feel quite strange. It sounded as if things were coming with a great procession and big bursts and wafts of music. I've a picture like it in one of my books. Crowds of lovely people and children with garlands and branches with blossoms on them. Everyone laughing and dancing and crowding and playing on pipes. That was why I said, perhaps we shall hear golden trumpets, and told you to throw open the window. How funny, said Mary. That really just what it feels like. And if all the flowers and leaves and green things and birds and wild creatures danced past at once, what a crowd it would be. I'm sure they'd dance and sing and flute, and that would be the wafts of the music. They both laughed, but it was not because the idea was laughable, but because they both so liked it. A little later, the nurse made Colin ready. She noticed that instead of lying like a log whilst his clothes were put on, he sat up and made some effort to help himself, and he talked and laughed with Mary the entire time.
Oh, this is one of his good days.
Oh, wrong voice. This here is one of his good days, sir, she said to Dr. Craven, who dropped in to inspect him. He's in such good spirits that it makes him stronger.
I'll call in again later this afternoon, after he's come in. I must see how the going out agrees with him. I wish, he said in a very low voice, that he would let you go with him.
I'd rather give up on the case this moment, sir, than even stay here while it's suggested, answered the nurse with sudden firmness.
I hadn't really decided to suggest it, said the doctor, with slight nervousness. We'll try the experiment. Dickon's a lad I'd trust with a newborn child, you know.
The strongest footman in the house carried Colin downstairs and put him in his wheeled chair, near which Dickon waited outside. After the manservant had arranged his rugs and cushions, the Rajah waved his hand to him and to the nurse. You both have my permission to go. And they both disappeared quickly, and it must be confessed, giggled when they were safely inside the house. Dickon began to push the wheeled chair slowly and steadily. Mistress Mary walked beside it, and Colin leaned back and lifted his face to the sky. The arch of it looked very high, and the small snowy clouds seemed like white birds floating on outspread wings below its crystal blueness. The wind swept in soft big breaths down from the moor, and was strange with a wild, clear-scented sweetness. Colin kept lifting his thin chest to draw it in, and his big eyes looked as if it were they which he were listening, with them instead of his ears. There are so many sounds of singing and humming and calling out. What is that scent the puffs of wind bring? Hey, it's gorse off moor that's opening out, said Dickon. The bees are at it wonderful today. Not a human creature was to be caught sight of in the paths they took. In fact, every gardener or gardener's lad had been witched away, but they wound in and out among the shrubbery and out and round the fountain beds, following their carefully planned route for the mere mysterious pleasure of it. But when at last they turned into the long walk by the ivied walls, the excited sense of an approaching thrill made them, for some curious reason that they could not have explained, begin to speak in whispers. This is it, breathed Mary. This is where I used to walk up and down and wonder and wonder. Is it? Cried Colin, and his eyes began to search the ivy with eager curiousness. But I can see nothing, he whispered. There's no door. That's what I thought, said Mary. Then there was a lovely breathless silence, and the chair wheeled on. That is where Ben Weatherstaff works, said Mary. Is it? Said Colin. A few yards more, and Mary whispered again. This is where the robin flew over the wall, she said. Oh, is it? Said Colin. Oh, I wish he'd come again. And that, said Mary with solemn delight, pointing under a big lilac bush, is where he perched on the little heap of earth and showed me the key. Then Colin sat up. Where? What, there? He cried, and his eyes were as big as the wolf's in Red Riding Hood, when Red Riding Hood felt called upon to remark upon them. Dickon stood still, and the wheelchair stopped. And this, said Mary, stepping onto the bed close to the ivy, is where I went to talk to him when he chirped at me from the top of the wall. And this is the ivy that blew back, and she took hold of the hanging green curtain. "Oh, is it?" gasped Colin. "And here is the handle, and here is the door. Dickon, push him in quickly." And Dickon did it with one strong, steady, splendid push. But Colin had actually dropped back against his cushions, even though he gasped with delight, and he had covered his eyes with his hands and held them there, shutting out everything until they were inside, and the chair stopped as if by magic, and the door was closed. Not till then did he take them away and look around and round and round as Dickon and Mary had done, and over walls and earth and trees and swinging sprays and tendrils the fair green veil of tender little leaves had crept, and in the grass under the trees and the grey urns in the alcoves, and here and there everywhere were touches or splashes of gold and purple and white, and the trees were showing pink and snow above his head, and there were fluttering of wings and faint sweet pipes and humming and scents, and the sun fell warm upon his face like a hand with a lovely touch. And in wonder Mary and Dickon stood and stared at him. He looked so strange and different because a pink glow of colour had actually crept all over him, ivory face and neck and hands and all. "I shall get well, I shall get well," he cried out. "Mary, Dickon, I shall get well, and I shall live for ever and ever and ever." There you go. That was that chapter. The next chapter, 21, is called Ben Weatherstaff. Do you think Ben Weatherstaff is going to come and find him? He seems a little bit of a rebel, like a person who's going to listen to Mr. Roach, to Papa Roach. Isn't he? Papa Roach, remember them? Anyway. Yeah, he ain't going to listen to Mr. Roach, is he? And keep away. I bet he'll come in here and go, "Hey, what they doing? Get out up my garden. You're not supposed to be here." We'll find out. How are you? Have you noticed my collars today? Did it on purpose, didn't I? Look at that. I just did it for comedy effect. Did you laugh? Maybe it wasn't that comedy. Let me turn it down now. Gosh. It's Sunday after all for me. Oh, there we are. Ooh. Maybe we can do this for comedy effect. Look. One up, one down. What way is he going? Yeah. It's just not funny, is it? Really? I can't, because I'm like mirror imaging there, really, but not. I can't work. Look, like if I touch this side, it's this hand that goes. I want to do this collar. I can't make my brain do it. There we are. That's better. Whew. I put my fleecy on today because it's a bit chilly. Gosh. What's it like where you are? Say if you're in the UK, did you get that storm the other night? God, I'm over the opposite side of the country to Ireland, where the storm appeared first. But we still had it quite bad here. I had to go driving the first thing in the morning, and there was all branches down and everything. I had to go around my mum and dad's the night of the storm, and their electricity went out. Gosh. I don't know. It must have been a big one over the other side of the country, hey? What else have I got to tell you? I had a bit of a rare old busy week last week, so I'm sorry I didn't upload very much last week. If you're someone who's watching this in the future, you can just watch one video after another. But unfortunately, there was a bit of a gap between number 19 and number 20, so I do apologise for that. In the old days, on the channel that got the squash, I used to upload every single day. Gosh, imagine. But yeah, I apologise for that. We are actually nearly at the end of the book. Look, can you see? That's where my little flappy bookmark is. So I'm nearly there. I'll tell you what I've been doing as well today, because it's 15:39 on Sunday. Today I've been uploading on my other channel, Phonics with Mr. S. Have a look for that. Have a look for it. You can just subscribe and just you don't have to actually watch them, but just play the videos, do a little thumbs up, or something on them. That'd really help me out, just because I'm trying to get that one rolling out. At school, the kids have been watching them. They're enjoying them. So yeah, hang on, let me see if I can get it to switcheroo onto my phone here, then you can see. So look, 24 subs so far. You see that? Phonics with Mr. S. That's what it's called. All right. So see if you can find me. The videos are all right. Look, if I show you. So I've only got these videos on so far. And this one down here, look, 300 views. Look at that. That's all right, isn't it? One up there is 102. This one up here, this is the one I did today. All right. So it's got no views yet, but I feel confident that it will get there. So but if you could help it along a little bit, then you do it. Phonics with Mr. S. That's what you need to look for. What else have I been up to? I've been reading this one. A long time ago, someone recommended this one to me. Oh, that's clever. A Bad Spell and Yet. I've been reading that one, so I've been enjoying that. The other day, I went a little bit loco, I think. One night there, I had a bit of a cold, and, I looked in the old cabinet, shall we call it, for grown-ups medicine. Are you with me there? And I just wasn't myself. And I sat there at night on my phone. I went on, I'll say it, World of Books. Other second-hand bookstores online are available, but I went on that one and they had an offer on like books for £1.50 each. They all arrived the other day. I forgot. Naughty. What can I see? What did I order? I ordered Jingo. I ordered Fifth Elephant by Terry Pratchett. I ordered the whole set of Chronicles of Narnia. Oh, excuse me. I ordered the Pinho Egg, Diana Wynne Jones, Crestomancy series. I ordered The Lives of Christopher Chant. I ordered Mixed Magics. And there's another one as well, Fingerprints of the Gods. I ordered. Got that one. What else did I get? I went leery, I tell you. Gosh, there was another one as well that I got up there. I think I got a couple of tarot books as well. Oof, won't do that again. Gosh. So yeah. That's what I've been doing. Haven't really got anything else exciting that I can tell you, to be honest with you. I have, just as I was recording that, I like kind of do little chunks now and edit it all together later on. I used to just read in one fell swoop all the way through, but I would get terrible dry throat, or I'd need to visit the smallest room in the house halfway through or something. It just didn't work. By now, doing manageable chunks, I can do what I want and live my life at the same time. Phoebe, my daughter, messaged me. She is in the town at the moment where I sometimes work. Dad, can you come and pick me up later on? I didn't realise that there's no buses. That's what I did. I went, She wanted like stupid o'clock though. I ain't going out stupid o'clock on a Sunday night. I need Sunday night to prepare myself and feel like get them old Sunday scaries kicking in. So I tried to wangle it as early as I could. I've got to go 8 o'clock. Especially if it's manky and rainy out there. I will be doing that. But I'll do it for my daughter. Alright, okay. Big up the love. Just like this. Why won't it do it? Ah, there it is. As Jay Talbot says, love is the with a thing. Love is the thing. Duh thing as well, not even the. Love is the thing, Jay Talbot. All right. See you later. Bye.